I have scoured the internet for the definitive list of the most wanted Marvel Legends figures in 2026. I have thumbed through the pages of every forum, scraped every YouTube comment for the keywords Marvel and/or Legend, and even hit the streets for a direct survey of Hasbro's primary consumers. Excuse me, sir. Can I ask you a very important question? What are your top 10 most wanted Marvel Legends figures?
You know there's a genocide going on right now, right? Full-blown fascism at our door. All right, these are in no particular order, but Rick Jones, Impossible Man, Paste Pot Pete, Swordsman, Isaiah Bradley, Captain America, Carrion, Shirtless Colossus, The Wizard, Rama Tut, Gorilla Man, Proteus. You said 10?
Yeah.
I got a lot more.
Well, that's okay. Thank you.
Armor, Kid Loki. Wait, hold on, my friend. Baldur the Brave, American Shaman. Party Unleashed 2-pack!
And then I lost all that data in a small fire. So now I present my top 10 most wanted Marvel Legends figures in 2026. Please don't leave. Before we get to the list itself, I actually wanted to acknowledge how good of a job the Marvel Legends team has done in the past few years in terms of getting characters off of my top 10 list. The recent Armored Psylocke was a big one, classic She-Hulk, Feral and Rachel Summers, and Dark Avengers Ms. Marvel I've had on my list since the comic in 2011. What are some male characters? Executioner, the Beyonder, Lockjaw, and the Mandarin have all been on my list for literally decades, crossed off. So my list has changed a lot, and that's going to be reflected in this video, as you'll see in a sec. Number 10, horse. Please don't click away. I swear this is interesting. A generic horse body, and I have two very good reasons why. Number one, there are no Marvel Legends scale, super articulated, and low-cost-ish horses on the market right now. The closest we've ever gotten probably was might be the She-Ra figures or the McFarlane Build-A-Figure horse, but that's 7-inch scale. As I've emphasized at the beginning of this video, I've done no research, but I feel like there is a hole in the market for Marvel Legends to fill. Collectors from other lines would be willing to pay that Marvel Legends tax in order to fill that gap in their collections. Now, budgetarily, that's going to cost thousands of dollars to make that hyper-specific mold, but I feel like there's a huge opportunity for reuse here. In fact, I can think of 10 reuses of that specific mold off the top of my head that I've written down here. But that gets into marketing and the second biggest reason why I think this figure would work. So 2027 is the anniversary of one of the MCU's most coveted films, Thor Ragnarok. And that film introduces the character Valkyrie. And when Valkyrie is explaining her backstory, there is a brief shot or sequence of shots that show her riding a winged horse, Pegasus. What a great opportunity for the Legends team to pay tribute to that small section of the movie with a winged horse. 2027 is also the 20th anniversary of a little movie called Ghost Rider. And the best part of that movie is the design for the caretaker in that one shot of them riding through the desert. Sam Elliott's character and his demon Hellhorse have an extremely toyetic-ass design. And I think that would even feed a small market that was into that weird knockoff caretaker figure from AliExpress. I didn't see this movie, but Venom 3, The Last Dance, whatever it was called, Venom Horse. Huh? And that's just MCU figures. Comic figures. You could do a classic Aragorn and Valkyrie, reuse those wings. Valinor and the villainous Dark Knight, Nathan Garrett. Dark Knight, Jesus. If you wanted to go with a different name, you could do Strider and Black Knight, aka Dan Whitman. He was part of the 90s Iron Man cartoon, and he was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that never got re-released. Hellhorse and Dread Knight. For Spider-Verse, you've got Widow and Webslinger. And then for maybe like a classic Avengers throwback, you could do Hawkeye and Two Gun Kid, Hawkeye the horse. And then there's the recent release of Phantom Rider, and I think there was a leak that said that Phantom Rider was going to be in a wave with a Build-A-Figure horse that ended up falling through or just not being true. And then once that figure released, you had people going to AliExpress to get that knockoff Figma horse just so they could have Phantom Rider riding his horse. So there you go. You've got Banshee, and pick one of the 17 other Phantom Rider characters. So in short, it's actually a good idea for Marvel Legends to invest in a horse body, given all of the releases that I just mentioned and more that I couldn't think of. Number 9, Annihilus. I think we were all devastated when Diamond collapsed and took their toy division with it. A lot of us were looking forward to that Hobgoblin, Archangel, and of course, Annihilus. It was more of a classic take on Annihilus in comparison to the early Hasbro Bathwave that was actually sculpted by Toy Biz. It just had those horrible early Hasbro colors and lack of paint detail. If they were to go the classic route, maybe don't go full Alex Ross like chrome plating, but he doesn't have to be crazy big. He could be Iron Man sized, more cybernetic instead of bug-like. So you could put it in a Fantastic Four retro wave. I just think that would be really successful. Wouldn't it be great if Hasbro gave the guy who sculpted that Marvel Select figure, Chris Delberg, aka the Lone Horseman? Give him a second chance as a tribute to both Marvel Select and that early Hasbro Bath. Number 8, large guy. Again, not a joke. I really think Hasbro could use a 12 to 14 inch generic male buck for all their size-changing characters. Something that is ultimately designed and sculpted to be generic so that you can put multiple different characters on the body, like maybe an in-between Giant Man, or the inspiration for this particular pick, Bill Foster Goliath. Who else could you do? You could do a lot of Goliaths, actually. You could do Hank Pym, you could do Clint Barton, you could do Power Man, you could do Black Goliath, that specific costume. If you wanted another character for the classic Thunderbolts, you could do Atlas, even though he would require a lot of new parts. And other characters that you could do that are not necessarily size-changing. You could do Ultimo, you could do Eternity, you could do maybe a classic Surtur, Ultimate Giant Man. If you're not going to do it in a HasLab, you could maybe do a Celestial. Fill out that Eternals roster. I think it would be successful for all the same reasons that a generic horse buck would be. And depending on the success of a male buck, you could potentially do a female buck, even though there are certainly fewer characters. Wasp got real big for a second. Mankiller. Around the Civil War era, there was a kids series called Marvel Adventures that had a really interesting design for Giant Woman. But I digress. Number 7, Gargoyle, and not the Hulk villain. He's a classic member of the Defenders, member of the New Defenders. Marvel and DC are doing a crossover right now. He's kind of like Marvel's Etrigan. Might be a little bit of a lame character, but he is visually appealing and, again, very toyetic. It's a little bit of a tough sell because he might need to be all new. I don't know how he could potentially be reused. Maybe you could take the HasLab Galactus Morgue figure, at least the upper body, and use it as a base for Gargoyle. That'd save you a few cents, right? And it would help me fill out my Defenders roster. Actually, looking back, this is a very Defenders-heavy list. I'm not even that big of a fan. Number 6, Dr. Druid. Again, not a joke. There is an untapped market for balding middle-aged white guys. And Dr. Druid is one of the baldest. And you know what? I bet there's a little bit of a demand for him because he's the last member of that mid-1980s team of Avengers. He's mostly a blank body. It could be a good opportunity to experiment with soft goods for his cloak, especially if you design the release to be sort of one and done. Maybe just pack in some interchangeable arms and a head with his long-haired look, circa the Capwolf storyline that I mentioned a couple videos ago. I think if you invest at least a little bit into that release, people might buy 2. He's a big enough gap in my collection that I actually commissioned someone to make a Dr. Druid portrait. I still have to paint the body, but I think that's going to turn out really good. Shout out to Custom Poser. Maybe I'll make a video dedicated to that, and I'll get 9 views. Number 5, Beast. I didn't add an adjective to this slot because I know that they're doing another Blue Beast pretty soon as well. And honestly, on the next one, I would just take a George Perez alternate head, or even just that Gray Beast alternate head, just painted blue. You're probably already going to have people buying multiples of that next figure. might as well have them buying 2 or 3 more. We've gotten so many Blue Beasts that I'm blue balling for a human beast. And yeah, we got a human beast in that 5-pack released 10 years ago. But I think specifically that redesign that was perfected by Neil Adams deserves a figure by itself. Again, this is another character that doesn't necessarily have to be complicated. You could put him on that Hercules buck, maybe update it with butterfly joints, and repaint him for that X Factor costume and first appearance again. Number 4, Mandarin in green. I know in the beginning of this video I just mentioned that I had crossed Mandarin off my list, but I was not partial to that suited Mandarin. I'm way more of a classic collector. I need a Mandarin in green. Not skin color, but in costume. But I understand that historically that version of the Mandarin has been problematic. For those of you who know Mandarin just from the movies, he originally started off as a pastiche for Fu Manchu after Marvel lost the rights. And Fu Manchu is the personification of yellow peril, which is the racist concept that all East Asian people are a threat to the Western world. And the Mandarin himself was created at the height of the Cold War as sort of a villainous representation of China opposed to the US. He's very much a character rooted in that time period, and that's why adaptations of him tend to heavily alter his characterization. And it's that characterization that is why we haven't had a Mandarin in 20 years. So I get that Hasbro went with a design that was not necessarily distinctly Asian, that put him in a business suit, but they still gave that Mandarin clawed hands, which is wild. The only other exception is that Marvel Universe release that had a cool helmet that was sort of both a callback to Mandarin's heritage as a Mongolian and also his first appearance mask that I don't think was ever in the comics. I feel like they might have been given the opportunity to design a new costume for Mandalorian. And if that is the case, I would really like to see the Marvel Legends team make their own version. And I'd also like to see the Marvel Legends team make something new, because a lot of Mandarin's costumes kind of suck. Don't do a design that is specifically based on anything, but do something that is inspired by those original comics. But avoid the weird shit. Don't give them thin, pointy eyebrows. Stay away from scales. Stay away from fangs, pointy ears. There was a trend in the 80s and 90s to give Yellow Peril-like characters green skin. Don't do that. That's not good. I'd like to see the designers flex their muscles a little bit and create something new. But personally, I would prefer a costume that is more robes versus armor, so he's more of a foil to Iron Man. Number 3, comic Mantis. We've gotten at least a couple of MCU Mantises, but we've never gotten a comic Mantis in the history of Marvel Legends. You could do her Guardians of the Galaxy version where she had green skin. Hey, another East Asian character with green skin. But I think her classic 1970s Avengers look is both the most iconic and toyetic. Just like Dr. Druid, she's one of the few remaining classic Avengers members. And I say an Avengers Mantis specifically because I really think, marketing-wise, Mantis in a 2-pack with Swordsman would sell really well. Especially if you threw in a couple of extra collect and erect style pieces. For instance, include a zombified head, and that's a pretty good incentive for people to buy 2. One for their classic Avengers display, and maybe one for their hypothetical Legion of the Unliving team. And with Mantis, if you included that green-skinned alternate head, you could potentially swap that on the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 sort of suited body to recreate her look in the Guardians of the Galaxy comics. And if Hasbro really wanted to be a jerk about it, they could re-release that specific version of Mantis with an actual comic sculpt. People are at least familiar with her from the movies. She's never had a Marvel Legends before, and I think comic collectors would really be itching for a release like that. Number 2, comic Baron Mordo. Yet another character for the balding market. Yet another character that has been MCU only. Yet another green character. Baron Mordo is maybe not an arch nemesis of Doctor Strange, but he's just one of the many classic Doctor Strange villains that are missing from our Marvel Legends displays. Like I said before, with this list being very Defenders-centric, he would be the last character to complete the team of the Offenders. And he's one of the few on this list that wouldn't really need a whole lot of tooling. He's mostly a blank body. Just a few overlays, maybe some stripes along his limbs if you really want to get crazy with the deco. To be truly comic accurate, he would need to have at least a Norwood 3 or 4 hairline. And number 1, Classic Valkyrie. So many of my top 10 most wanted Marvel Legends figures over the years have been women specifically. And it is a testament to the Marvel team, like I said, that there are only 2 women on this list, and one of them is Valkyrie. We've gotten Valkyrie a couple of times in Marvel Legends. One in that final wave of the Twin Pack series before Legends was canceled fully, and again in the Hulkbuster wave, I think, in her more modern look on a more archaic body. She needs an update. Specifically, she needs an update on the Power Princess body. New torso, obviously, you need that opera bra look, but certainly the arms and legs can easily be reused. Marketing-wise, this would be the perfect opportunity to release classic Valkyrie with her flying steed, Aragorn, in a deluxe 2-pack. Again, no market research. I just think that would sell really well. Yeah, that's it. I'm not going to choose a Build-A-Figure because I think Build-A-Figures are virtually dead at this point. We get one a year, maybe now. But in terms of runner-ups, I think I have an idea. Maybe instead of doing an extremely well-known and popular character as one of your San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, this is the year of 2000s Hulk nostalgia. What about the UFOs? Ironclad would be easy. You'd essentially be a repaint. I don't know how you would do Vapor exactly, whatever her name is. Maybe solid separate pieces that look like smoke. And looking at these designs, X-Ray, or at least the 2 other guys, maybe instead of including mini comic books, characters like that would be a good opportunity to show off that inkjet printing and how it's evolved over the years. It's going to be crazy expensive. And that makes it a perfect opportunity to release it as an exclusive, but they would contribute to the growing number of Hulk villains that Marvel Legends has been doing as of late. In the comments, I'd like to know what you think of my list. And we'll do an actual survey here, get some data. What are your top 10 most wanted Marvel Legends figures? I've been trying to do a new video every week. I think this is the 5th video in a row. So if you like this or any of the previous videos, subscribe if you want to see more. If you like this video, give me a like. If you didn't, thumbs down. I can take it. And there's a new feature on YouTube Mobile. Not new, I recently discovered it. It's called Hype. When you're on the comments and you swipe to the left, it'll give you a hype option. And that's there to boost small content creators under, I think, like 250,000 subs. I am definitely under 250,000 subs. I think you get a certain amount of points per week. So if you haven't used those up already and you really liked this video, I would really appreciate if you used it for this video, maybe. I'm Glenn, and this is Super Articulated. I just thought I heard gunshots, but I forgot it was Memorial Day weekend and it's fireworks. Rowdy's down here now, because he doesn't like fireworks. He's guarding the C-stand. Let's take a drink. Actually, I don't need to do this on camera, so I'm actually going to stop everything